I want to quickly talk about something that has been an issue for many people, and that's to do with endorsements rejections for the UK Global Talent Visa. Of course, you must know by now that for you to get a Global Talent Visa, all you need, the major thing that is required really, is the endorsement from the endorsing body. Once you have that, then you can apply for your Global Talent Visa using your endorsement letter. Simple, right? But of recent, the level of rejections have been alarming, quite alarming. Like you see, people who actually do qualify in terms of technically, professionally, expertise-wise, get rejected for the endorsement. There are two major reasons why people get refused. Number one, it's either you do not qualify at all, and number two, which is the major reason why most people actually get rejected, is the fact that while they qualify, they have not been able to put their application together in the exact way that syncs with the requirements of the endorsing body. So basically, in this video, we will be going through some of the major reasons why people get refused endorsements and exactly how to avoid them. Applicants don't get refused because they didn't do well at all. Applicants actually get refused because they didn't do well enough. Now let's dive in. First major mistake I see a lot of people make is submitting the right evidences for the wrong criteria, right? So when you go to the Tech Nation platform, they have clearly stated the kind of evidences you can submit for each criteria. So the fact that your evidence is strong does not mean that you should submit it for just any criteria. For instance, you see someone submitting a very strong and powerful evidence that has to do with growth, and they are submitting it under the criteria that has to do with non-profit work, right? They are two different things. You need to be sure exactly what evidences you're putting together and which criteria they are going to match with. In summary, it is very, very important that you match your evidences with the right criteria. If you submit a powerful evidence for the wrong criteria, it won't lead anywhere. The second major reason I've seen a lot of people get refused for is that despite having very robust experience working with tech companies, they actually don't have any experience with a product-led technology company, right? So, and this is one of the requirements of Tech Nation for endorsement, especially if you're not a technical talent. If you're a business talent, like, okay, you're a product manager, you're a product marketer, you need experience with a product-led digital technology company. What does product-led mean? It simply means a company that leads with products and not with sales. It means that the product is the main driver of the company's revenue. It means that the company uses its products as the main vehicle to acquire, activate, and retain its customers. And if you're a business talent that actually falls into this category, all you've got to do, if this really matters to you, that is, invest some time in working for a product-led digital technology company or a product-led startup. The Tech Nation reviewers are very hell-bent on this, especially if you're not a technical talent. Now, in some cases, they can be lenient on technical talents who do not have experience with a product-led startup. But if you are a business talent, you need to have some experience working with a product-led company. The third major reason has to do with recommendation letters. The fact that applicants use the same content across their three recommendation letters. So if someone truly knows you, there's very low likelihood that three people will be writing the same things about you. Your recommendation letters have to be distinct, they have to be unique, and they have to be different. Each person writing about you must also talk about how they've come to know you, how they met you, the kind of work you have done, your skill sets, what you have accomplished. The next thing has to do with the quality of people writing your recommendation letters. So you can't get recommendation letter from just anybody just because they are in technology. No, it has to be highly accomplished people within the tech space who have excellent or extraordinary track record. The stronger they are, the stronger your recommendation letters, and the stronger the content, what they are saying about you, the more the reviewer would validate that recommendation letter, right? So you want to be sure that whoever is recommending you is a strong person in tech. You want to be sure that your recommendation letters are very unique because you are submitting three. You can't put the same information in three. Of course, there may be sparingly the same things being said about what you've done, but essentially each recommendation letter has to be uniquely different and powerful. Don't forget that when you're applying for the Global Talent Visa, it's not the time for you to be humble. Keep your humility for now, pending when your endorsement comes in. You want to leverage your biggest relationships within the tech space. You want to talk about your biggest accomplishments and you want to put your best foot forward. Essentially, each person writing a recommendation letter for you must talk about why you are exceptional in terms of your talent, the work you have done, and the impact of the work you have done. And they must be as specific and as detailed as possible. The next reason has to do with lack of clarity. People assume that the reviewer should find out about them by themselves. First, you have to ensure that you have good footprint online, and while that is there, you also have to assume that your application is all there is to check about you, meaning that you need to be as clear as possible, as detailed as possible across all your documents. Never assume that they should already know about you. If you Google you, no. Assume that there's actually no information about you online, and then tell your story, chronologically, as powerful and as inspiring as you possibly can. Basically, be as detailed as possible, leverage storytelling, and be very clear from start to finish. So the next reason why people get refused is because of weak evidences. When you're applying for the Global Talent Visa, you're allowed to submit up to 10 evidences. For some people, they don't even have to submit up to 10. Some people submit at most 6 evidences and they get endorsed. Why? Because the evidences they've provided are super strong. So if you submit 10 evidences and those evidences are weak, you're not likely to get endorsed. If you're not sure that you have enough proof, you want to give yourself some time to do more work, to make more impact, and of course tell your story while you are doing all of that. And then when you're ready, you can turn in your application a very strong one. That way you increase the likelihood of you getting endorsed. Not being specific about your skill sets is another thing that can make your application shallow, right? You need to be specific about your skill set. Don't try to show that you have too many skills. Try to focus on one core area. If you're a product manager, let most of your evidences be about the impact of your work as a product manager. Don't try to show that you can do marketing and UX when actually you are applying on the basis of a product manager. Why are you an exceptional talent when it comes to product management? That's exactly what you need to do. If you're applying as a product marketer, why are you an exceptional talent as a product marketer? So you need to show proof that are in alignment with that core skill, in terms of your impact, in terms of your results, in terms of your skill sets, in terms of the numbers, in terms of the revenue that the company has generated or the companies you've worked for have generated because you're on the team. In terms of the impacts that the company has made just because you're on the team. So you need to detail down on explaining that using storytelling. When a reviewer has 2 applications, and both applications are saying the same thing, but one was put together with storytelling and the other is just like an academic writing, the one that was told as a story is likely to get more marks. Why? Because we are essentially creators of stories. We love stories as human beings. So you need to leverage that to your advantage when you're putting your application together to make your application very strong. The next reason why people get refused has to do with situations where someone who should be applying for exceptional talent is actually applying for exceptional promise. Technician is very strict on this nowadays. If you've had over 5 years experience working in tech, you actually are no longer qualified to apply for exceptional promise. You must apply for exceptional talent. You need to find strong enough evidences that can stand for exceptional talent. They will find you out, and in the pro forma that they send to you, they will explain why you've been refused. That because you've been in technology for so number of years, so you do not qualify to apply for exceptional promise, and that you should apply for exceptional talent. If you know that you've had over 5 years experience working in tech, do not bother applying for exceptional promise because you are likely to get a refusal on that basis. The next reason has to do with people who have extensive experience, but most of that experience they had working as a consultant or working in an agency or working as a freelancer. Now, these 3 things, consultancy, agency work, and freelancing work, are usually not well considered. So what is really considered is your work as a full-time employee of a company, of a product-led organization or a tech organization, right? Full-time employee. Technicians do not consider agency work, consultancy work, and freelancing work, right? Now, this can be added advantage when you actually have a full-time job. But for you to apply on the basis of these 3, it's not likely to get you an endorsement. Another reason why people get refused endorsements is that they have no public profile. So before you turn in an endorsement application for the Global Talent Visa, you want to ensure that your footprint online are well put together. What does your LinkedIn profile say? Is it in sync with the application you are putting together that you've submitted? In this area as well, people have issues when what they have submitted is different from what the reviewers can see on LinkedIn, right? So aside from having good footprint online, you also need to ensure that the information across your digital platform is exactly in sync with everything in your application documents. Much more than that, ensure you represent yourself excellently across your social media platforms. In most cases, they are likely to check you out across these platforms. Finally, for this video, another reason why people get refused endorsements has to do with their salary level. Please note, this is not in all cases, but in some cases, salary levels can make a difference, especially if salary level is one of the criteria that you choose. So when it comes to salary level, always ensure that this high salary is being earned as a full-time employee. So that'll be it for today. I wish you the very best in your applications, and I'm definitely rooting for you. When we have some time, I will do more and talk about other reasons why people get refused and how to avoid them. Just before you go, ensure to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification so that when I release new content, you'll be the first to know. All right, guys, have a beautiful rest of the day and keep winning. Cheers.